How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about an absolute horror classic, and that is Re-Animator. This originally came out in 1985, was directed by Stuart Gordan, who would go on to make a ton of other classic horror movies. It was also produced by Brian Yuzna. Keep that name in mind when we get to the Re-Animator sequels. It was based on a serialized short story by Cthulhu creator H.P. Lovecraft. The movie also has a really great cast. Jeffery Combs as Herbert West. Super cool. Young and idealistic, trying to defeat death. A great goal, but not realizing the horrible havoc you're leaving in your wake. Jeffery Combs plays this character absolutely perfectly. Good and creepy. He's awesome. And then you get Bruce Abbott playing Dan, young and naive and the perfect victim for Herbert West. Barbara Crampton, his fiancée, who is going to be one of the few people aware of the danger around her. And then as the villain of the film, David Gale as Dr. Hill. We have an anti-hero as a lead and a really cool villain, especially in the last third of the movie when he takes on a more maniacal role. It gets pretty crazy. Great performances. It really keeps you engaged. And gore effects and dark humor, like right from the get-go, really starting off with a big spark and keeping that energy and keeping that momentum and keeping that sense of insane adventures going throughout and leading to a big, insane finale and an absolutely great final image for this film. The film is basically the definition of a cult classic. Yeah, mainstream people may not like it, and if you recommend this film to the wrong person, they might wonder what's wrong with you. But horror fans, especially if you love 80s horror with the humor, with the cheesiness, with that energy, this is a great example of that. It's one of my personal favorites. I can't recommend it enough. And if you haven't seen it, yeah, it is intense, it is over the top, and it won't be for everybody. But if you're a horror fan that somehow missed this one, go check it out. But anyway, I guess in order to analyze the movie further, let's go ahead and dig into the plot. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I do want to take a minute, look at a few cool scenes, and do a bit of analysis. I'll be trying to avoid the end bits, but let's go ahead and dig in a little deeper. I really have a few things to say on this one. We open up with like a perfect opening. We get to see Herbert West in Europe studying under Dr. Hans Gruber. Die-hard fans will probably get a laugh out of that. But the police burst into his lab. Dr. Gruber is an eye-bulging zombie, and one of the nurses said, "You killed him," and he says, "No, I gave him new life." That transitions into the opening credits, which are some of the best opening credits. Neon medical charts combined with Richard Band doing a sort of disco parody on the Psycho theme. The opening credits are amazing. So within the first couple minutes, we get an insane, intense zombie sequence, and then bright, over-the-top credits setting the mood perfectly. Re-Animator has one of the best hooks of any horror movie and really tells you you're in for a bit of insanity. After that, we meet Dan, who also has a really good character introduction. He's a medical student, and he's trying to save this lady, and he has to be kind of pulled off of her because he wants to keep shocking her, hoping that he can save her life. But it's a lost cause. You can see how this is going to play when he meets Herbert West. He's young, he's kind of naive, he's idealistic, and he's gonna fall right into the trap later. And he will, later that day, meet Herbert West, and Herbert West will also meet Dr. Hill, and right off the bat, you can tell that he's, a little arrogant, and he's not afraid to be confrontational. He'll tell Dr. Hill to his face, in Europe, your theories are kind of considered plagiarism of Dr. Gruber. Never mind that he recently died and I'm on the run in Europe, but whatever. Your work is considered plagiarism, your ideas on brain death are outdated, and I'm gonna have to go take your class. I love the confrontation between these two and the hatred you can see in Dr. Hill's eyes. It's really cool. And then later on, he's doing a lecture and he's talking about brain death, and Herbert West is just snapping pencils as a form of protest. It's such a weird and specific thing, but non-verbally gets the point across. And that look in his eyes as he's just staring at him and breaking his pencils. And then Dr. Hill, you should buy a pen. It's perfect. Plus, this scene in class shows Dr. Hill cutting a guy's head open, it's a cadaver, and taking out the brain and showing it to the class. And it does set up a theme for later on in the movie. The idea that this is gross, but it's to teach medical students who will go on to save lives. And that sort of sets up the real point. This is science, it's gross, but it's for a good cause. Well, Herbert West is going to take that a little too far, and we get to see the natural deviation from the real world into the fiction. It's a good setup scene. He'll eventually move in with Dan, and that's where we meet Barbara Crampton, and we get to see a few scenes of them together and being a loving couple first, and they really do have good natural chemistry, and she's the only one that as soon as he offers to move in, you can tell alarm bells are going off in her head, and she's like, don't trust that man, he's dangerous. She's fun, but also she's the dean's daughter, and in turn, there's a little bit of inner office politics with her dating one of the students. Obviously she's cool, and Barbara Crampton will go into being in a lot of horror movies later, so needless to say, she does a great job with what could be a smaller role, but really just does give it her all and makes it stand out a lot more. But anyway, Dan will eventually find out what's going on with West when his cat dies, which he says, oh, of course, was an accident. But then he wakes up to screeching in the middle of the night, and we get the cat sequence. And the cat sequence is a perfect example of this movie's dark humor. Obviously, the cat was already dead, and in the movie it's just a puppet. But to see this cheesy puppet running around and them destroying the basement and Dan throwing it against the wall, it is dark humor, but it is hilarious. And I love this sequence. It really does show, like, yes, this is dark, but we're gonna go crazy, okay? It's cool. And now Dan knows the secret, and he naively tells Barbara Crampton's father, the dean of the university, who promptly kicks them both out, and now they have to prove his theories in order to save both of their careers. Needless to say, wacky zombie mayhem. There's a scene later on I absolutely love where they reanimate a zombie and it grabs both of their necks in each hand, so they're both dangling there, and it's like the Three Stooges, but with a corpse. Great dark humor, but again, it is the gore effects, it is the insanity, it is the sense of scale, but there's even a scene where Jeffery Combs puts on his shoes. They sneak him into the morgue as a corpse, and there's a shot where he has to put his shoes on before they go in a door, and you think, okay, just use a different angle so you can put a cut and his shoes can magically snap on. But no, we get the whole process of both socks, both shoes, and tying your shoelaces, but somehow, with just the characters talking to keep the balloon up in the air, you stay invested in the film and you don't think how long we're lingering on this one shot. That's a testament to the actors and their skills that they can make even that entertaining. So how good will they do when there's zombies running around? Like I said, it's a really fun, intense, over-the-top movie, and it only gets better as it goes along. An absolute crazy ending sequence, and to get to see Dr. Hill become more and more outright evil, it is really cool. If you guys like cheesy, over-the-top 80s movies, but again, with good acting, with good ideas behind it, and with a strong source material, you'll get something that's cheesy and intense, but with a backbone to stand on, and in turn, it is super engaging, super enthralling, super funny. Go check Re-Animator out if you haven't. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites, and I can't recommend it enough. Go check it out. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my HP Lovecraft playlist, where you can see me talk about Nicolas Cage in The Color Out of Space, or a new one with, I think, one of this film's writers, Suitable Flesh, based on The Thing at the Doorstep. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.